Everybody take a seat really quick, please. Thank you. Okay, it is 3:25, and we're gonna do a quick wrap up here. Everybody, pull out your thumbs up signs or your thumbs. Yeah, these. And on the back, you have stop signs. And your other one is, I have a question or I need more info. Okay, have these handy because it's going to make the video look really cool with you guys all holding these up. But just a few quick things before we get into the final, what we hope is really inspiring little wrap up here. I really hope, first of all, I really hope we met our goal of ensuring that it was a worthwhile day from the office. I know it's always hard to take a whole day out of the office. Thumbs up, awesome, that's great. Thank you, Wendy. Ah, yay. Second, I do have a few more sponsors I would like to thank because, again, this event, especially because it's the first year, really came together because of the chance that you all took in sponsoring our wonderful event. So I know we've had them kind of rotating through, and I've mentioned them in the different sessions, but finally I'd like to thank the Incline Village Crystal Bay Visitors Bureau, the Lake Tahoe Visitors Authority, Wetzel Financial, Barton Health, Tahoe Mountain Realty, and the North Lake Tahoe Resort Association. So big round of applause. Okay, a couple of quick logistical things because I just want to get this out of the way before we wrap up with the inspirational stuff. Please fill out your surveys. It will help us plan future events and make them very impactful. And you can drop them at the registration table, you can drop them out in the lobby area, you can give them to one of the Tahoe Prosperity Center staff. We definitely would like your feedback. We will send out an online link with the same survey questions if you prefer that. But, just take a few minutes and give us some feedback on what you liked, what you think we could do better. Apparently, there is a gentleman who, in his orange bag, he had a black leather. Did you find it? Fantastic. So glad you got your, because all the bags look the same. And so somebody picked up his with his planner in it. So thank you. Okay, last but not least, and certainly most important, the bar is cash only, which I did not realize. So sorry about that. So if you would like a drink and you need cash, the ATM is over in the casino. So it's kind of important. Last little tidbit. Okay, so I'm going to introduce my friends here. You guys can come on up and hang out here, or you can mingle. So we have here Chris Fakosh is our project manager for the Connected Tahoe project. That is the cool project getting high-speed internet and cell phone coverage in the basin. So yay. And Kaylin McGee is one of my old colleagues from the Center for Collaborative Policy and just recently moved to Lake Tahoe. And I'm going to wrap up the housing nuggets of information. Chris is going to talk about workforce. Kaylin's going to fill you in on what happened in the entrepreneurship because we want all of you to have the benefit of hearing what happened in each of those sessions. And then lastly, my friend Bill Mueller is the CEO of Valley Vision, a fantastic friend of mine, wonderful mentor, and he is going to synthesize all of this and then get us out the door in time for cocktails. And thank you to Bill for doing that because he's someone that I really look up to. So I will start with the housing update on what you guys missed if you were not in the housing. So sorry guys, you do have to stand in front of the lights because it looks better on the video. So the biggest things that came out of the housing, there's a lot of good stuff, but the first and kind of overarching thing was how do we keep this regional collaboration around housing happening? And how do we make sure that the people who are interested in it right now, who maybe have not traditionally been interested in it, or who are just now starting to get interested in it, things like the special districts, or the employers and others who have been kind of on the periphery, how do we keep them engaged in these conversations around housing and keep it at a regional level? The second thing was, how do we incentivize what we want? And what we want is smaller homes, not bigger homes. We want higher density development in our town centers where people can walk to work and take transit. And we want to unlock some of the existing homes that sit empty most of the year in our resort community, either for seasonal workforce or seasonal rentals or potentially long-term rentals. And then lastly, and this is really important, but I think it was so great to, again, have the diversity of folks in the room today, everybody from the high school students to business owners to government officials, but it's putting real faces to the names of stories around housing. So it's families living in conditions that most of us would not consider living in. And it's telling the story of the type of housing that we want to encourage support for more development of workforce housing in our communities. So those were the three sort of big nuggets of information on housing.
So join me in thanking Heidi. And I have to say, has this not been the most amazing conference? This is incredible, right? And Heidi, thank you very much for your leadership. So you guys have your placards, right? And I'm going to give the mic back to Heidi. And what we want to hear is, what's the most important? You heard 4 priorities. Use your thumbs up. What's the most important priority of the 4 that you heard? 3.
Okay, regional collaboration. Pretty good. Okay. Incentivizing what we want. And putting faces to the stories around housing. Okay, I think it's the middle one, incentivizing. Okay. Awesome.
Okay, we're going to turn next to Chris, and if you could sort of go through the things that are inspiring, the things that sort of the breakthrough ideas.
Absolutely, and again, just a quick thank you to the workforce panel for lending your time. We greatly appreciate it, and we had a lot of good conversations, and we probably came up with about a dozen deliverables, but in the end, we kind of selected 2 here. So first and foremost, we decided that maybe developing a platform for the entire lake that handles all job seeker resources such as job postings, training seminars, so on and so forth. So some sort of online resource where it's one-stop shopping, and kind of like the joke in the room was something better than Craigslist would probably be nice. So that was kind of like our primary one because it seems like information in the basin is very fragmented. And then last but not least, striving for better offerings from our organizations. And that doesn't necessarily mean offering a better salary or offering more benefits, but creating a culture of support, managers that are more involved with their employees. So kind of working on that and finding different ways to deliver those offerings to employees. So those are essentially our big 2.
Okay, so again, with a show of your cards, what do you think of the 2 that we should focus on next?
So developing a platform for the entire lake, an online platform, one-stop shopping for job training and resources. Okay. And then lastly, striving for better offerings from various organizations to attract employees. Getting creative, all right.
And could we imagine those 2...
Online platform has it.
Yeah. And could you imagine those 2 things being intertwined? Maybe the platform being a way of being able to bring that about? Okay. Yes, it seems. All right, we're going to turn next to Kaylin.
We had a bunch of great discussions in the entrepreneur section. I'm sorry that in this time I won't be able to cover them all. Rockstar. Great discussions. Here are some of them. Some of the themes that were inspiring in this morning's session that really came through in our conversation. The first was this message of connectivity and building systems and ecosystems to support entrepreneurship and economic development. And that came through in a couple of different ways with the different layers. Not only in I don't know if it's more traditional, but the sense of direct business support and training and networking and sharing, but also the social and community services and amenities that support and attract and keep folks and businesses. Another theme that came through was appreciation for this idea of supporting, celebrating vulnerability, relationships, kind of the message is that all the intangible stuff is actually super tangible and super important and central. And also a message that came through in this inspiration conversation was, this is hard. Breaking out of what has largely been based on a tourism economy is hard. A sharing economy comes with risks and downsides that are very real, and it's hard to change that. And we have a lot here. We, of course, have the beautiful environment, and we have lots of folks that are dedicated and passionate, and there is capital and resources around us. So simultaneously, while change is hard, we have a lot to build on. Next, we move to the missing or needed, and one of the things came through is that we need kind of new narratives. There are old and lasting narratives of, I can come here and play, but then I have to leave to get a real job, when that's not even really necessarily the case, but we almost get stuck in our own stories. So one thing we need are new narratives. And then to spread that message well and creatively. You'll hear me say this a couple more times, but we need more collaboration and planning like this. A theme that came through is certainly were comments about diversity in the basin in these economies, but it was noted that we actually have a lot of diversity, including if you're talking about ethnic diversity, but we're not integrated. We're not talking to each other. There's some pretty good barriers. And so we came up basically with one action, which I think will make for some easy polling. But it does go from more general to specific. Again, really thought we need to do this more often. We need to meet and plan more often. And in order to do that, getting a little more specific, we should define really clear problem statements that we can attack. Not only will that encourage us to come together, but it'll help us be more focused. Maybe it will even lead us to organize around specific topics or groups or needs. And then even more specific than that, there was a lot of resonance with the idea, let's really take a look at government or bureaucratic hurdles to launching, supporting, and sustaining small businesses. So maybe that's one of the first places we look to define specific problem statements. 2, and I'm done. A contribution from our student participants in the room that had everybody's head nodding was, not all businesses are created equal. Let's find the Tahoe resonant businesses, those that appreciate the lifestyle, the place, what it means, and let's look for those. And then I also want to mention that we had a member from the Sierra Business Council who let us know that we are in a Sierra Economic Development District, that planning for that is going on. And since our main action item was, hey, let's do this more often, that's one more forum where those conversations can take place. I'll stop there.
Okay, excellent. Please join me in thanking everyone who has sort of summarized this point. Okay. So consistent with Gino's conversation with us this morning, that basically we're all part of the network, we're all nodes, and the most important part is the relationship. I'm actually going to start walking around and asking for people to offer their final words, their own inspiration, what it is that we think we're going to do. So I'm looking around, who would like to sort of have the last word at the conference? I know you're out here.
We can have a couple last words.
If you can stand up and introduce yourself.
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Ben Damon. I just wanted to announce I'm going to build the platform.
Yay!
Outstanding. Okay, who's next? Oh, thumbs up over here.
Just thumbs up. Thumbs up, everybody. Thank you, Ben. Way to go.
All right, other final words.
I have one quick thing. At the end of every conference, the room is so empty, and this room isn't empty. So it's really inspiring to see that you all stayed until 4 o'clock, because I know everybody always tries to leave at 2 or 3. And we're going to get you out of here before 4, but thank you all.
Last word, this is a big one. No, I think this is step one in redefining what we call Tahoe, and that's a big step.
Awesome.
Excellent. More thumbs up. Okay, we have at least a couple more of these. Closing thoughts. Okay.
I just want to echo Devin and say thank you to Heidi for bringing us all together, because I think my big takeaway is realizing how much room there still is for education on these topics, and these sorts of forums allow us to start talking to each other, and that's how we're going to get educated, and that's how we're going to make changes.
Very well said.
Yay! Thank you, Kathleen.
My name is Michael LaCory. I'm Chief Collaboration Officer with Symbiosis, and I was really excited by the energy and enthusiasm for developing ecosystems of support around entrepreneurialism. And I think that's fantastic. It's what we're all about. And what I'd like to do is engage a smaller group of folks in what that means. Like, what are the components of an ecosystem of support for entrepreneurialism? And if you're interested in having that conversation with me, please reach out. Again, my name is Michael. I'm with Symbiosis. I'm in the program, and thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Michael. So, by a show of cards, how many people would like to be part of that conversation? All right, that's awesome. Okay.
Hey, John Griggs, South Lake Tahoe. First, I'd like to thank the Tahoe Prosperity Center for bringing everybody together and getting everybody in the same room. My main focus here is on housing issues, and one of the biggest problems is that there are a myriad of agencies and people and laws and regulations involving it. And for what is perhaps the first time in a long time, we have most of these people together in the same room with both the concept and perhaps the political will to actually get some things done about it. So this is a wonderful thing. We've actually got some momentum going here, and I look forward to seeing where that goes. Thank you.
Excellent. So, let me follow up on that. So we just talked about having a continuing conversation about entrepreneurship. How many people here would be interested in having a continuing conversation on the housing front? By a show of cards. Okay. That seems pretty clear. Another final word or two?
Hopefully I won't screech here. I love that Gino brought in the into the conversation really early on the concept of love. And I don't see that too many times in an economic conference, particularly coming from somebody who's been trained in finance. But so I thought that was wonderful, and I guess the last word I'd love to put into the room is that love is really about bringing heart and spine, knowing that as a parent, heart and spine into our conversations about entrepreneurship, housing, and our workforce. So thank you. And thank you, Heidi, for inviting us to speak and be here.
It was great to see so many members of the community coming together, so especially when it's complex, because it's not just one area, it's different counties coming together. And a lot of great ideas were generated today. And what I really want to encourage you, though, is a lot of these ideas from me sitting in on different sessions seems eventually it's going to have to get to policy, or it's going to have to get to city council or county supervisors. What I think is really going to be critical is just as important as the people that say, not in my backyard, turn up to say, don't do that. Those of you here today that are in support of so many of these ideas and initiatives, it's really, really critical that when those things come on the agenda that you show up to say why it's important for this community.
Well said. Okay, by a show of cards, people agree with that? Okay.
Do you want to do it?
Okay. Suna Vassell. You know, I serve as county supervisor for El Dorado. I'm also on TRPA governing board, Tahoe Transportation District board, and on the Conservancy board. So this, to me, it was really hard to choose which one to go on to and talk to. But for me, housing is the critical part of being able to support our employees, our entrepreneurs, our businesses, starts with housing in my mind. And as a policymaker, it's just so great to see everybody in here talking about it. And I just want to say, Heidi, we've been talking about, I'm also on the board for Tahoe Prosperity Center, and we've been talking about the housing and how we get together within the Prosperity Board. And I'd like to say I'm very excited because we're moving forward with our task force to do something and come up with an idea. And I'm very, very excited. I just want to say thank you, Heidi, for having everybody here.
Great. And maybe,
You are so
maybe a
welcome.
follow-up question for the supervisor. So how can this group best help you in the next 60 days?
By being a part of the solutions, for our meetings. You know, as a policymaker, people say, well, you know, I'm just going to show up at your meeting and it probably won't do any good. I say, oh, no, 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 no. It's probably the best thing, the most power you have besides voting is showing up at our meetings and telling us that that's important to you. So please stay in tune. Don't drop out. Stay in. Come to our meetings. And for sure, I think we could always use some more people in our housing task force. And that's within 60 days. We're moving.
Awesome.
So it hasn't been asked yet, but on the workforce front, so that was our third leg. By a show of cards, how many people are interested in continuing that conversation after this conference? Having a workforce conversation.
And contributing to the online platform by posting your jobs and announcing, you know, all the different things that were talked about in workforce, which I wasn't in that session, so I'm kind of assuming here, but yeah, show of hands.
Okay.
Awesome.
Excellent. And Heidi, what will the TPC do as part of its role in helping those three initiatives along?
Well, first I'm going to have a drink because it's been a long day, and this was a successful event, again, especially to see so many people still here at almost 4 o'clock. And the Tahoe Prosperity Center is the catalyst for these conversations and the convener for continuing to move these ideas forward. So we will be working on, we will continue to work on housing and workforce development and the infrastructure needed for entrepreneurs. You've got to have high-speed internet to start a business here and some of the other things. So we look forward to continuing those conversations for you, with you, and getting shit done.
All right, on that note, welcome and thank you all for your participation.